what does repeatable excellence look like for instrument? We're nerds with taste. We invented a new font for Google. The people love us. Oh, we also won 3 Webbies. I can literally go beep, boop, bop, bop, bop. EBITDA, CapEx, OpEx, bing. Like, I don't know how to relate to you, so I'm going to tell you I have a daughter. My face would melt off my body. We are sprinkles of little magic. hello@instrument.com. Most famous email of all time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
He's no one, she's no one, we're no one.
I know if I was working from home all the time, I'd be 250 pounds.
Oh.
We've got so many snacks in my house. I'd be like, it's just hard to not dig into the snacks.
Oh, and also you're just like your steps are like 35 when you're at home. Like,
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
like you're like I walked 35 steps today.
To the bathroom and back.
My feet are swollen
Too much
because
sugar.
they've just been in the same position for 7 hours.
Right. Right. So I do think as an employer, I feel an obligation to give people a workstation. You know, there's tools that they need to do their job, and that should be provided by your employer. Yeah, again, maybe it's changing. I don't know. But at this point, I think that's important to be that person or be that provider.
And that was even conversations that came up when we were looking at the space for instrument, when I stepped into the CEO role, it was like, it was like such a inflection moment of instrument. And it was how many different decisions do I have to make? And they're like, oh, and by the way, I know that you've been in this role for 4 weeks, but you need to make a decision now on if we renew our lease for 10 years.
Whoa.
And it was this moment of, okay, do we even need a building?
Right.
Because you're like, well, nobody's in here. Like,
That's a
how
big
much
one.
is, and then you dive into it and you look at the expenses and you do all these things. And like, to that point, like, what do you want to provide? Like, you're like, okay, well, what is the future of instrument? Are we fully remote and we just moved to a WeWork model? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And you have to
Do the math.
beat up every single decision. Like, the math is one data point, and you think, well, what do I want instrument to be in 2035? And then you go like, well, I don't want it to be this remote stop. And so, then that was the journey to look at a bunch of buildings around Portland, which there were
That
a
place.
lot.
Imagine that.
I know. Yeah, there were a lot of
And
them.
I know you guys have open house, so I'm inviting myself over.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see it. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of B-roll you guys will probably have that we can borrow to fill in this conversation.
Oh,
so
sure.
It's like, I think if we're talking about it, people are going to want to see it. It's like,
You got
it's
it.
super cool.
Yeah.
And it's fun to drive over, the 405 bridge and see the sign.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
It's
right?
like, it feels legit. Like,
yeah, you're like,
they're
yeah.
right there.
Uh-huh.
We're a creative hub in Portland, Oregon, and there's Instrument.
Totally. And it is. Well, and obviously I have affinity for the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And so to see it in a place that gets to be more present within what we're doing here, that's huge.
Big deal.
Yeah. And you're just like, when you think back to when I walked into Instrument, when it was at the Outpost, and there's
Bison building.
the Bison building,
Yep.
and there's 70 of us, and similar vibe in the realm of people are skateboarding around and working on motorcycles and really scrappy work happening. To think about 12 years later, you get to be in the penthouse level, just so you know. I'm trying to call it the Sky Ranch.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, because it's a ranch because it's one level.
Yep.
And it's in the sky.
Mid-century ranch.
It hasn't
in the
caught
sky.
on yet,
Yeah.
but I keep doing it. And some people are like, yeah, I like it. And other people are like, it's never going to work, Laurel. And I was like, no, we're calling it the Sky Ranch. So because especially when I'm in New York, I'm always like, how's it going back at the Sky Ranch? And they're like, stop calling it that.
It's like marketing, right? You just keep saying
I
it
was
over and
like,
over and
it's
over and over again.
I know.
Eventually.
So now I'm like, okay, I just need to make a T-shirt or something on it, because as creatives, it's like once it's on a T-shirt, a hat, or a nice screen print, people are like, oh, it's the Sky
legit.
Ranch.
It's got to be a good T-shirt.
Yeah.
The new logo's good. It looks
Yeah.
good on a T-shirt. That's how you judge a logo, right? It's on a T-shirt.
It is. Well, it's really interesting. And even when you walk in at the new space, when it's got the radial in this ceiling, what I think is very interesting, which
Right.
goes to show when you rebrand a company during the pandemic, that a lot of people are like, what is that? And you're like, oh, okay, cool. I think I've got to make sure that people know that that's the instrument logo, because everyone sees the word mark.
Right.
And like the new word mark is very iconic.
Bold.
It's very bold.
Yeah.
That was very much a strategy of like, we audited everything, and every brand that our incredible like team pulled for, they're like, oh, you've got all this like the huge, the RGA. Everyone's got this fine, precious little type.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, in your face. Uh-huh.
Bold.
Instrument sans. Yeah.
That works out good.
Yeah.
Well, it brings us back too is like some other conversations that we had on the building and just the brand, and I want to segue that into some other stuff too. But again, like the thing we were talking about was, you had that choice that you just talked about, redo this lease on the Williams building, big ass, beautiful building, and then the feng shui, we'll call it, of how creatives actually work and making those decisions when architecting the layout. Give me some insights there and some of the decisions that you made that will, again, hopefully attract people that they'll want to come into work. If you're doing it right, they'll just come to the bright light and want to be part of it. And then some of these decisions are subtle and not, it's not loud advertising, but I think it's really smart of what you did.
Yeah. Well, I have such a love for, I always say, the spaceship building that sits on the corner of Fremont and Williams here in Portland. Instruments' second HQ in my tenure, from the outpost to One North. And when that decision came up, and it was, how do I define the next 10 years? And you've got to also, on a finite, it was like, and you have like 45 days, Laurel. So you're like, okay, let's quickly evaluate what this building offers us as far as enabling the future of creativity, enabling the future of work. And when you look at it, it's so easy to like, you can always connect the dots once you've like lived through them. Like at the time, you can't necessarily know where each dot's going to future connect. And then you can look through them and you're like, aha. And so that building was built, broke ground 13, 14 years ago, when the way that we worked and the way that creativity was enabled was very different. And it was great. You just have to offer your team a desk and a monitor and maybe some conference rooms. Like that was it. Like that was the criteria. Like for a workplace, like that was like, great, that's our bingo card. We got those done. Like we can move on.
Check.
And then the pandemic hit. And that building immediately came irrelevant.
Wild.
And it was as beautiful and as functional, and of all of the things that it enabled, it was no longer ever going to be the future of work.
Poof.
Gone. Just like being, like away. And so then you had to think, okay, you have to make bets on like what you believe the future of work is going to be. And you know that it's not going to be a work point meaning a desk, a chair, and a screen. That's the bare minimum. And so if I want to create a place, what's the thing that I can do that challenges people's ability to see what they already have at their house? Like they already have that there. They already have that as like an access point. So when we were looking at spaces, we had to think about what is an experience that someone can't get. And even the fact that the old instrument building was in a neighborhood was even very much of like, people are already in neighborhoods. And also, when I think back, I think we also displaced a lot of people in that neighborhood. When you have 300 people driving into work every day with no public parking,
yeah.
Like, where's everyone going? And so I really thought about, okay, from a location standpoint, and also before I was in this role, I would have to park blocks away, hike it in the rain, sometimes, and then at night, also as a female, like walking around in the middle of the night in the dark, like in our late nights, you just think about these things. So when I thought about the new space, it wasn't even just what does the interior have to afford, but what does the actual full experience have to afford? And so when we found the field office, I was like, parking. And I know that that's like a huge thing because like it being an inconvenience to even go to the office is a huge thing. Like you have to remove every single barrier. Like that to me is like a huge thing of like before everyone had a huge amount of barriers to get into work before the pandemic. And it was just like, that was just it. Like
That's the price of admission.
You just accepted it. It didn't matter if you had to take 3 buses or you had to park 7 blocks away or if you had to like hike it in the rain, whatever it is. All of those barriers we just accepted. And then the pandemic challenged that. So parking was a huge thing, you know, and that's been, not to throw Wyden under the bus, but I love them, and I know they've struggled with their return to office, and they have a 3-day mandate because people are like, I hate parking.
It's tough down there.
It's tough, or you pay, and it's really expensive, and they don't reimburse people.
No way, yep.
And so, they've got people who are like, well, then I also have to, like, I have to move my car every 3 hours, so I'm going to come in for 3 hours, and then I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
So, like, how can I remove every single one of those barriers?
Yeah.
Like, parking is accessible. You don't have to pay. You don't have to think about, like, once I'm here, I actually already have to leave in 3 hours. And then when you actually think about the building experience, it was also really important to make sure it wasn't uniform. The past instrument, every aspect of it was uniform. Every desk was the same. Every team space was the same. It was 4 stories of uniformity.
Wow.
And I think that's really interesting as a place that focuses on creativity. And so when we think about building the space, we were like, let's actually make it neighborhoods. Let's give people different options because some people are more drawn to light-filled areas, a la the sun porch. Some people need to be thinking about heads down collaborative time in the lab. And so when we designed this space, it was, we need to do better and create places that people can find a work spot that meets them where they're at in the day. Because your creative flow is different. I know that sometimes I wake up on a Friday at 7 and I'm like in my pajamas and I was like,
cranking.
I am in the flow. And then sometimes I'm like, I need to go into the office. And then I'm like beat bopping around and I'm thinking of like the textures and the colors. So every part of instrument, there's different colors, there's different lighting, like in every aspect of it.
I can't wait to go see the tour.
I know.
And we're going to show everybody on YouTube.
They're going to see the
brilliance
space.
Of the spaceship over there.
They're like, you
ranch.
painted the ceiling burgundy? I'm like, yeah, we did.
Because we can.
Yeah.
We can. I'll take you over, Nick. You'll be stoked.
Well, what I thought was also fun is that like even we brought in all of the old lighting that was an instrument, not all of it, like in one of the areas, and everybody was like, where is this lighting from? And we're like, it was in the old space.
How funny.
But because everything looked the same, it just whitewashed itself. And so it's really fun to now people are like, where did all this come from? And you're like, the old office.
Bingo.
Yeah. But now you can compare and contrast it.
Amazing. So with that, it makes me think about the idea of just the pillars of how you guys are currently set up as a company and as a brand. So there's 4 pillars. And then, you know, the question is, how do you go from, it seems like a dangerous dance of going from pillars to silos. And so can you talk to us about how and why you've set up the pillars in the different services? And then what's your thoughts on not becoming, again, siloed where?
Oh, sure. Well, I think that the only thing that creates silos are like poor leadership. I think, and because poor leadership will create systems and structures to enable like the wrong outcomes. So when we've moved into the pillars, they're all like outcome based. It's like, what is the outcome that we want? And so the way that we've shaped it is giving people what they need so that they can do their best work. So we have, for example, our brand studio, our product studio, and our wizard studio. Like those are the like 3 areas actually that we really focus. And the reason being is like instrument at one point had like 12 different teams and they were all the same. The expectation was like, great, well, we don't want anything to be siloed. So everyone on these teams are going to become generalists. And the only thing that differentiates them is the client, but they also are going to do new biz. And what that does is over time, one, it doesn't scale because then you have 12 different groups of leaders that want to execute brand or product or websites in their each individual way. And then there's no instrument point of view on what is best in class. And how do you actually create a different experience for our partners to say like, no, you work with instrument because this is the best in class way of producing brand, product, marketing. And so these team structures were holding us to a certain size and scale and actually creating a lot of inefficiencies. Like some teams, if they had really process forward leaders, like they had different strengths within the standpoint versus others that had really creative-led leaders. The whole teams were different. And there was a lot of inconsistency. And if you had to ever change anything and say, actually, we're going to do brand this way, you can't align 10 leaders on that. And there's no point of view. And so when we moved into the studio model, what it's done is it said, all right, now what does repeatable excellence look like for instrument? And how do we then learn over and over again instead of trying to solve, because what was happening, we have 10 teams, they're all solving the same problem.
Recreating the wheel.
Every time.
Right.
There's no efficiencies. There's no advancement. And right now, I'm so thankful that we've moved into that model proactively with the way that AI is changing the way that we have to work. If I had to think about changing 10 different teams and the way that 10 different teams had to work and 10 different ways to deliver brand, I'd want to my face would melt off my body. Versus now, I can work with a core set of subject matter experts to say, we're going to completely redefine what it means to deliver brand and marketing with this set. And similar with product and similar with Wizard. And Wizard is our Google team. And each one of those teams needs such different things that when I say they're pillars of the business, is there's always cross sharing. And again, that's the whole thing is we sit in rooms and we share what are we seeing, what are we hearing, what are the client anecdotes, and what are our solutions and responses to them. So we've built rituals of connection. And I think that's where a matrix organization can fail, if it doesn't build the rituals for collaboration. And what we also have found is that when you put people in the type of work that they're energized by, you get the best results. And when we were a generalist model, you had people who were brand people that then with a brand project canceled and a product team needed it, you'd get put over there and then the product team was what is this brand designer doing over here?
Right.
And it was just causing all of this resentment.
So think about somebody like Josh Spivey, who just is a motion graphic guy. So he would go wherever he's needed on any one of the programs because he's a specialist at this one thing. And so he's doing his jam, but he may be doing it for Google or the other clients as opposed to being just dedicated to one team and maybe having to stretch to do product instead of just motion.
Yeah. And that's exactly. And he doesn't want to do that.
No, he's probably not good at it.
Our
He can figure
business
it out.
model can't get in the way of creativity. And that's what the previous team model was doing, is it was actually eroding people's ability to also go deep in their own discipline. Everyone was just becoming surface level.
Yep.
And also they weren't building relationships with clients. And it just started to become this project based and people almost just being I just want this project to be over. Versus being oh my God, I'm so excited about this and I care about every detail and every nuance of it. When you are that catalyst expert, that's what you care about versus I just can't wait for it to be over.
Well, it's interesting. Again, it's I think what's interesting with the way that you lead and where you come from, and I hear it often, is people first. Again, I think there's always been a good part of Instrument, even with Justin's Reign of Terror, and it's wanting to have people, and then I think you're more of that person. And I think when I watch, you get the right leader for the right time in your maturation, and right now you're the right person for bringing these people back in, wanting to work, coming in with a vision of how we can all work together and make it collaborative. I'm super curious as a leader, why is that important?
Oh my gosh. Well, we're a service business and we can't exist without our people. And I think the pandemic proved to literally before the pandemic would also always say without our people, Instrument is it's not this building. The building doesn't represent us. The logo, the word mark, those things. The thing that makes Instrument is the people and the environment that we create for them to be successful in everything that they do. And if you make policies and procedures, and we're not perfect, I want to say that. I get things wrong all the time. I'm in a constant state of understanding what are the things that are the priorities for these individuals and how can I as a business leader serve them the best that I can. I wish I could change certain parts of the business. And there's also realities to it. Like we're owned by a parent company. And so I have this whole thing called SOX 2 compliance, EBITDA, CapEx, OpEx, those beautiful, sexy
Acronyms.
words. Yeah, exactly. And it constrains some of my decision making. So like to the point, like, yes, there was a time when Instrument was independent and Justin, JD, and Vin were like, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
And I've inherited a business that says, hey, we can do all over we want, but my decision making is very constrained. And so to me, it's even more important now that the decisions that I am able to make and the investments I am able to make, that they have to be prioritized to our people. It's not about what is other places are like, hey, we're going to have benefits, but we're going to have like the bottom tier benefits. And I'm like, absolutely not, because what we need to do is like, we're going to pay as much as our employer benefits as we can. We're going to have our professional development stipends. We're going to make sure that like every ounce of the profit that this company makes that I can invest back into the people is the number one priority, because people are incredibly valuable. And it's that like, there's the three things that we have to think about as business people. And it is like, I always hate thinking about this in this way, but like your like human capital of your people, but that's also enabled by like, when we talk about people first, it also means I think about the community capital. So what am I doing to create additional environments in which people can be successful?
Absolutely.
And from also like the environmental capital. And so when we decided to build out a new building, the option wasn't, all right, what makes sense for us fiscally? What makes sense for our people? And when you change that dynamic, not a lot of leaders do in this space. Like they just think like what's good for the bottom line. Like I'm thinking what is going to actually be best for my people, because I know that when they can operate at the top of their career, then we're going to get the right creative and the right results.
I love that. I totally resonate. Thank you. And I'm super curious. Again, you're also making, again, maybe it's like historical, but again, your C-suite now is all women.
It sure is.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Tell me more.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting also is our norm of operating in a female-led C-suite, man, it isn't the norm. And it is such a gift in the best possible way. So I'm going to maybe be like, this is my like hot take. I recently, like a year ago, went to a event for a large, I'm trying to not say the name. What is it? Like, I was just saying like a community gathering. We'll say a community
People
gathering.
that like electronic stuff?
Of agencies.
Yes.
Yeah, like we're all like agency leaders went there. And in that agency leader room, there were hundreds of CEOs. And then they did a breakout session.
Oh no, I see where this is going.
Well, and they put all the women in one group. There were 7 of us.
Oh no.
And the rest were men. And at first, I sat there and I was like, okay. But then one of the other women at the table said, thank God. And I said, oh, I was actually like, go put the ladies together. She goes, no, this means that now none of us have to be the ones in the group doing the thing.
Ah.
And
Yeah.
I was like,
What's the opportunity, right?
I was like, snap. And it was like, it's so true, because we were actually talking about this earlier of like women have this immediate like need to prove ourselves and
Right.
nurture and be that one, like especially in a room of hundreds and hundreds of CEOs, that if you're the one to overperform and overachieve. And so then we got to be in this group and we were just shooting the shit and having the best time. And so, but the reason that is when I say like what a gift it is to be in a group of females running an agency. It doesn't happen very often. And what it also does is it provides a very different culture for our teams. And what I would say is a testament to it, and again, we're not perfect. We're going to change and shift. We're learning all the time. But wow, we never have to worry about dynamics. We never have to course correct for how we feel. I never ever have to apologize to anyone in them going like, I'm sorry, I feel sad, or like, ooh, that is like,
Right.
we just talk about it. And
Yeah.
then also, and none of us have to be performative
Ouch.
and overachieve and over rev because we're trying to fight for space within this organization. And so it directly benefits us to be able to push through the wild transformation that is needed within our agency right now.
Well, that really is a great segue into just getting along or cohabitating with males in the C-suite. Again, you're part of the Stagwell and the bigger corporate up here.
Yeah.
And then again, and I know Justin too, and I know he had an initiative to want to bring more female
Sure,
leadership
yeah.
into the agency early on. And now you're part of it. Again, it's like that seed was planted, and now here you guys are running the agency today. Congratulations. I'm super proud. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And then,
Appreciate it.
but there's also, I'm so curious on this side of like, what do you do to get around, we'll call it the frat boys that
Oh,
are
yeah.
flexing
Yeah.
in the C-suite? And I'll be honest, I've seen this too, is like they fail forward. It's like, dude's charming, got the quarterback, whatever going on, but it's like, dude is not God game. He's just not the guy. And I'm sure you can go through your list of people in your head right now and figure out who I'm talking about. But
Never.
there's like,
I would have never have thought about
Never.
it. It
Never
never
thought
crossed my
that
mind
thing.
that any man was in a seat that I didn't think they deserved.
right. And then, but again,
Yeah.
I remember we had a talk once, and it was like, you meet them where you are. You've said this earlier in the
Yeah.
interview. And then I'm so curious, and is there any insight there that you can bring to, any gal coming up the ranks here to be
Yeah.
able to help them, again, prosper in that situation? Because it
Yeah.
ain't going away today. And so, and I know our shop, I think we're at 54% female on our side. We used to be, 100% all
You just
dudes.
got
And it's
44% more to go.
we're getting there. I'm all for it, man. But it's like there's actually the smartest ones are the women here, except for Nick, of course. Like, you're the smartest boy.
You're
no?
doing a great job.
You're killing it over there, Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like that, and then what's the secret ingredient to getting along with the alpha male frat boy in the C-suite to get the agenda met to help your agency and ultimately your clients?
Yeah. It is so I'm just going to speak from my own experience. And the thing that I know is really hard, and I've seen other female leaders not necessarily align with like my perspective on this. And we're up against like hundreds and hundreds of years of gender roles and gender dynamics. And it's not going to change in my generation, and it's not going to change in the next, in the realms of, I do believe that we've got like the incredible Jane Fondas of the world who have made progress and pushed through these things and understand like the true core of like feminism and what that means. And there's this interesting thing where you have to hold things at both times. You have to hold the reality of the day-to-day, and that you have to also know that you're going to make strategic decisions to support a different future. And in the reality of the day-to-day, it is knowing that every man that sits at a table with me immediately is trying to figure out how to navigate me, because they are careful with the words that they use. They are the reason that men like to be around other men is because they don't have to filter themselves. They can be their bros. They can do their things. And that is why, like, I think it's when you look across the board, it's a heavily male-centered CEO world that we live in. Not just agencies, across the board. And yes, there are the shining lights of the female CEOs in there. We are in there. We are sprinkles of little magic all over the place. But men like to work with men. And because it gives them the ability to not have to be concerned around what they might say, or might they get canceled by, or what the thing they might say. And so the thing that I've moved into as I've sat at more of these tables is, one, you just literally, you can't have any ounce of resentment against anyone who's sitting across from you, because they're doing the best that they can. They really are. And I highly respect, and I am very thankful that I get to work alongside of them. And sometimes they say things where you're just like, okay, like, because they're trying to relate. They're like, I don't know how to relate to you, so I'm going to tell you I have a daughter.
Yeah.
And you're
I
like,
hear you.
and what, and a lot of the times, and so what I do is like,
Yep.
you look at that as like, that is them trying to connect with you. And I have seen a lot of other female leaders who are just like, oh God. And even myself, I used to do that. I would be like, stop being performative. Stop doing that. Like it would make my blood boil if someone's like, I read this book on how to connect to females. And I would be like, stop it. And I would get so frustrated by it. And I would be like, I'm going to like talk about the root of feminism and I couldn't get a bank account and all of these types of things. But also, all that resentment does is it holds both of you back from actually building an actual like relationship. And the thing that I've had to do is go like, man, the second a man sits down, he's already super uncomfortable. He is so uncomfortable.
I'm out of here.
Like, yeah, like literally, like you're like, okay, I can't talk to you the same way I can talk to my bro dudes. But don't worry, I have a daughter. And then like in that moment, you want to shut down and be like, don't even actually, the advice is like, no, you let him in and you say, oh my God, tell me more about them. I love that. And that is like the difference of like, and what that has done over this past year, because it's been a journey that I've been on because I've been thrown into this. I went from like working on a team to then working with literally 75 like male counterparts overnight is what it felt like. And I came in very much because also like as a woman, you're like, I have to prove myself. I have to prove myself and I've got to have an opinion and I'm going to like do my thing. I'm going to snap my fingers a whole bunch. And it's just because you also feel like I've got to prove that I own this table.
Right.
Like I have to do it. And then what that does is that it makes men even more uncomfortable. And then you're scaffolding up the walls. And then you're like, why does this feel bad? And you're like, well, you've actually created it, Laurel. And so you have to realize that even though it felt ingenuine when the person across from you was trying to connect, that literally they are doing the best that they can do. And they're already like, so they're kind of scared to like say the wrong thing. And so you've got to give them forgiveness. And you have to just be like, you're going to say, I'm sorry. I listen to it all the time. Men say the stupidest shit to me. It's fascinating. And you can't, and if you're going to like push forward, like, and I know this is the advice that has got me where I have, and you just have to forgive them for it. And you can't be like, I need you to apologize. No, you just internally have to say like, you did the best that you could in that situation. And thank you for trying.
Well, I think that's so much bigger than just the boardroom of what you're sharing for all of us as a society. And I think that, some of the cancel culture stuff that was happening during the pandemic is really, lit people up in the wrong way. And it wasn't, and it even divides that particular group because they're even doing it to each other. And then they can't be unified as a voice to really kind of make change that they visually see that they think they want because they're just so busy being right. And so, and I always looked at it too with the, it's what is the intent? Again, it's even with some of the racist words and some of my friends that have been victims of that. It's like I judge them on the intent. Did they say it to be to hurt, or were they really just trying to be? They're trying to connect, but they just they're just not up to speed because they're from Podunk and they just don't understand, or they've never met anybody like me before to even know how to address. But they're trying. And so the good ones are really forgiving and trying to help people come along and be part of the story as opposed to like, canceling them or overcorrecting them to the point where they don't even want to engage. So we can all come together.
Totally. And it's a really hard thing for a lot of people to admit that like men hold the power for a lot of opportunity for women. And when you can be okay with building a relationship and giving forgiveness to those men who are trying to figure it out, they want to afford those opportunities to you. And you've got to be able to have those conversations in forgiveness and just be okay with acknowledging it as like, it's a fact and it's a system that we operate in. And if you can't like acknowledge that, it will hold you back in your own career if you're not able to say like, everyone's intent is they want to afford you those opportunities. And we also have to make sure that we're showing up in like a really kind and compassionate way, because that means they're like, all right, that's the space in which I want to make for you. But if you take those opportunities, you know, it's hard for it, and it's the reality. And I think a lot of people want to talk about the reality. They're like, well, men need to do better. And I'm like, yes, and so do women. Like we all need to do better. And we are, like to your point earlier around like, well, a lot of the ladies are on Slack a lot more. And you're like, yes. And like, but it's because we're still pushing against the system. And that's why I say we got to hold the two things of saying like, there's the day-to-day reality. And I want to be in a position to then afford more females opportunity. So if I'm in that position, because I was able to make a relationship with a man who had the power of opportunity for me, so I could then afford 5 more leaders that are female driven, hell yeah, I'm going to do it.
Winner.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, you got to be able to hold them both. You've got to make those things that maybe challenge you in a way that you didn't. Like my inner teenage anarchist was like, no way. And then I was like, actually, play the system. Play chess, man.
And that brings up another point too, again, is like on your team, again, what I'll do is try to put, you know, let's say the right account person, so the account sees themselves in that person. Any thoughts there?
Oh my God. Chemistry and compatibility. They are the unlock. Well, I think what's really interesting is Instrument up until 8 months ago didn't have account people.
Wow.
It's wild.
Good for them.
There's how much time do you have? Shall we talk about like how it's
a whole
impossible
nother show, huh?
to grow a business with no account people? I can talk about that. But
Yeah.
what has been incredible is now that we've moved into a moment where we have true account people and we're pairing them through the lens of chemistry and compatibility. Like when I talk about compatibility, I mean, they have the skills to do the job. Like they understand like the base like needs within it, but that chemistry, man,
Everything.
And I'm coming back from earlier this week. I was down at ServiceNow's Knowledge. ServiceNow is a big client of ours. They host their big annual conference, 22,000 people. And we are lucky enough to work directly with the chief marketing officer and the chief brand officer. And our account person on that account, we've gone through 3 different iterations of that, of like trying to figure out who's this right person. Because one, account as a discipline is new to Instrument, and also who's the right person for this.
Right.
And when we were able to finally lock in that chemistry of that person who had literally was like, hell yeah, I don't know anything about B2B SaaS software, but
Sexy.
but I'm energized by like learning and understanding it and like becoming like a deep partner and expert. Like, we were able to like, they were making space for us at their conference. Like they were like, we were having our happy hours and they have this multiple day event hosting 22,000 people. Stock markets are paying attention, the whole thing.
Ooh, yeah.
And then when we invited them to a happy hour, the entire team came. And they did that because they like us. And it's like, those are like there's like the 3 tenets of Instrument: make the complex simple, do great work, and be the best to work with. It's like you do those three things and like everything falls into place. And like, and also ends up into being karaoke until 2 a.m. in the morning.
You got skills?
I do.
Bam. We're going to get that clip, Nick.
I do have skills. And it not only was that at our ServiceNow, similar, our AWS is another client of ours. We're very lucky to work with them. And we were just down at Adobe Summit 2 weeks ago in Vegas. I basically am just...
You've been on the road.
Just call me Vegas. Just call me Vegas because that's just where I live now. When I checked into the Win, they were like, welcome back, Miss Burton. I was like, oh no.
I'm not on the list. Right.
Yeah, I was like, they can't know who I am now. And they were like, we're so good. And like, I was like, okay, I spent too much time in Vegas. But chemistry and compatibility. And also it's also, you gotta go be in person. I know these are table stakes. This is not rocket science here. But each one of those client partnerships are the way that they are is because our teams come together more than anything else. Anytime I look across our business, and if there is a project or a client that's gone sideways, it's because the teams have never met each other in real life.
Weird.
And it is fundamentally flawed. And it is like, then I have to jump in and say, you need to fly everyone here immediately. And people will say, well, we don't have the budget for that. And I go, I don't know who told you that, but there's always budget for connection.
Yeah.
And so it's wild what the pandemic shifted everybody to go look at a screen 5 years ago.
Right.
And people still haven't figured out how to not look at a screen. And it is a force function to get us back into that place.
I love the effort and wanting to do it. And again, make it happen. Get them in front of us. They'll fall in love with us. And let's be honest, to take a client and have them as a 10-year worth of client is so much more efficient in business development than trying to replace somebody because they just didn't like whoever they were dealing with. And the work was there. Obviously, you guys are doing great. And that's the other segue here is like, you guys are on a tear this last 6 months. It's like, congratulations, all the Aura props and then the agency or the design shop of the year award. And it's like, that stuff's not sucking.
Oh, we also won 3 Webbies. Don't forget that.
No.
We just
There
won
you are.
3
Tell me
Webbies.
more.
The Aura work has won 30 awards. 30 awards. And what I love about it is like they weren't even sure if they wanted to do that work.
Ooh.
And that's where it's been this really incredible partnership where we first did their website. And
Are you working with Mel on that stuff? Mel Strong? Okay.
no, we work directly with the CEO and the
Look
CMO.
at you guys fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing good. They're getting...
Yeah, well, in the last 18, so they've sold, by the end of Q1, it was 5.5 million units, and
That's all?
50% of them were in the last 12 months.
Love it.
So,
Nick, you got one, don't you? An Aura ring? How's it going?
oh, hey, look at that.
See?
Well,
Live.
I moved 2 years ago, and during that move, I put my Aura ring in one of my boxes. And then I moved into a house that I have been remodeling, and it's still being remodeled. And so my Aura ring is in a box somewhere in my garage.
Lost, missing.
It's
You probably
there
just
waiting
don't want
for
to know
me.
what the data's telling you. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
a friend tell me, he's like, we were at dinner, he goes, yeah, this is where I had sex. I'm like, dude, we're having dinner. Like, come on, I don't need that
He's
much
like,
information.
yeah, but he's like, do you see the cardio? He was like, this is
going.
it. He's like, this is it. This was me running. This is this. And so,
yeah, it's like, okay, I get
hey,
it.
I'm all for it. Like, it's got to diversify your exercise
Right?
routine.
Well, I do have to agree again. I think we're in such a parasitic climate right now on Wall Street and everything's that. And again, I appreciate that Aura has actually taken those kind of technologies and made it for good
Yeah,
and contributing as opposed to just let's suck another bit of data out of
totally.
victims on the street because we're one of those brands.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I think that's like, we're in this age of like purposeful intent behind those things. Like even like you said earlier, like you're meeting with people, what's the intent behind it? And like, why are you gathering people's data? What's the intent behind
Yeah,
it?
what are you doing?
And Aura's in this space of like, we just want to make sure that you know that you had really good sex with your wife. And you're like, thank you, Aura.
I'm rocking over here.
It's how it goes. And then she can be like, she can also have one. And then we'll compare it.
Right.
See how they line up.
Or you look at him, hey, how come this is
Yeah.
speaked? I was out of town. Wait a second. No,
Yeah.
I'm just
Or
kidding.
how come yours is flat?
Yes, fun with Aura. It's almost like, yeah, we can do that. But that's amazing. And again, like on an insight of like how important is that and why is that important to win these awards, these accolades?
Yeah. I would say it's important not only because we want to make sure every time we win an award, we also get recognition by the industry. And I also think it's really important for our industry to see what the industry holds as a level of excellence. And I think every award season, whatever wins, like that's the ceiling of what the last 12 months.
Right.
But then for the next 12 months, that's the floor. Like we all got to make it better from there. Like to me, it is not rinse and repeat. So I think it's really important for the industry. I know that every year that, like, for example, on the Webbies, like I went through and looked at every single winner to be like, okay, who do I need to pay attention to?
Right.
Like as far as like creative excellence. And the reason being is because it's inspiring. And so I
Right.
think awards are inspiring because it helps us also see, like without it, I would never see some of that work, because I don't know, like this bespoke agency down in Aussie that did this incredible rebrand for this bank that I've never heard of.
Right.
But it like set the standard in a whole different way. And now I'm like, hey, y'all, take this as inspiration and not to replicate it, but like, what's the next thing? So for my existing work and clients, like that's to me, like, what's the ceiling this year? Because it's the floor for the next. And then similar also, when we are put into a room and we are like, we believe that you need to do X, Y, and Z with your product or your web. And that individual has to go to their, if they're like EVP or VP, if they're not the CMO, they've got to go and fight for budget. And a lot of those times, if those people don't know who Instrument is, and they're like, because they were maybe like, Instrument was lucky enough to have a lot of Nike partners are now have kind of been distributed amongst many other brands, Apple, Stripe, you name it, etc. But their boss has never heard of Instrument. And they're like, hey, we want to give this agency $2 million to reimagine our product. And they're like, I have never heard of them.
Harsh.
And actually, we have lost work. We lost out. I won't say this brand, but we lost out on an initiative because we didn't actually have any awards 2.5 years ago.
Interesting.
So awards are new for Instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And there were several opportunities that because the CMO, the CEO, had never heard of Instrument, we had no street cred, that they were like,
who?
I can't, and they're also, and not in the realm of like, sure, they have a good portfolio, but I actually need the validation for this.
Random.
So that when this work either succeeds or fails, if it fails, then they need to be held accountable to their CFO and
Right.
said, well, why did you hire this agency?
Right.
Did you have any risk associated to it? And if they can't fully say yes or no, it is like, then it's on them. And so they're like, I'm not comfortable moving forward with an agency that I've never heard of. I'm going to need you to go hire RGA or Huge.
Those guys.
So it puts us in, with the reason being, though, when we win awards, it puts us right into that same conversation.
Interesting. It's something I know in biz dev here. RFPs are difficult, and how I phrase that, or what that takes or brings out for me, is again, there's like, I'm on the C-suite. I've got a sweet VP job.
Mm-hmm.
If I hire Huge
Mm-hmm.
and they fail, I hired the best. It's their fault. But if I took a risk on, let's say, a smaller agency and they failed, it's on me. There goes my cushy job, right? And
Nailed
so it takes a lot of courage for the VP to actually take the risk on a smaller shop in order to get to the, they're accountable for numbers and accountable to Wall Street and all these other people that aren't necessarily the client. And that's a whole other conversation.
Correct.
But it's like, it's our world. That's the way we're living.
Well, and that's literally, that goes back to like the Aura crew. Like they didn't know us, but one of the people did. And they came from a other like agency partner that knew us.
Right.
And so they were like, meh.
Well, you guys have got, I've heard you landed 50 gigs. Cool. Let's do a percentage of like referral versus cold lead.
Sure. I do like to say that we have, for even Stagwell, who is the parent company of Instrument, is fascinated by how many inbound leads that we get just through like our email. hello@instrument.com.
Wonderful.
They call it the most famous email that's ever existed. And when we got the opportunity to rebuild OpenAI,
Those guys.
you heard of them?
Maybe.
It came through our email.
No.
It came through our email, and it was literally like, hi, I work on the OpenAI design team. Do you want to participate in our RFP? And we're like, yes, we do. And so what's wild is Instrument has fully been organic growth its entire tenure.
Right.
It's in like, and so when you talk about like referrals, it is like those referrals are just clients. Like no one's like referring us. They're just, once people work with Instrument,
Right.
they just either stay with us
Yep.
or if they move, they work with us there.
Yeah.
So they're not, it's like they're not referring, they're just like moving their
Yeah.
business around.
Hey, come on, I'm going to a new shop. Let's go.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
our ServiceNow partnership is a direct correlation to, we used to do a bunch of work with Salesforce,
Right.
because we were very lucky to work with an incredible like individual on that team who was so smart and so influential. And then he left to go to ServiceNow. And then he picked up the red phone and called Steve Mon, who is one of our creative directors, and was like, you want to rebuild our homepage? And he's like, yeah, I do. I'm in a parking lot in Poughkeepsie right now. So, but yeah, we should talk about this.
Yeah.
So it's I call it like the popcorn effect of,
Right.
there's so much mobility in like the tech sector, which is a lot of where our work is, so the percentage is like, I almost want to say it's just, once we're like locked in, man, the people love us. And like same thing, like our work with, Stripe is because it was their same partner that we worked with at Nike. Our work at Converse is because it was a Nike person who moved to Converse. Yeah. And so
simple lesson here is don't burn any bridges.
Correct.
You never know.
And we've never done that. No, we've definitely done that.
It doesn't always work. But again, I always say, always be making friends, because it's just how it works. Again, we're a smaller shop, but again, it's the same formula. You just got to keep your network primed and pumped and wanting to hang out and do work with you, because it's way easier to work with people you like, appreciate, and trust than to, take the risk and go outside and find something new.
Yeah, and you can't take it for granted. It's like for every moment that you don't like nudge or follow up with one of your clients, even if they're current or not, there's literally 10 agencies behind you that's doing the same thing.
Yes.
So like you've got to be like, even if you're just like, I don't know, that it's been send the email, send the text, call. Like,
love it. I love it.
Because someone's going to do it right before you.
So now you mentioned OpenAI, and it really is a nice segue into talking about AI in general. And I think you've had some great insights in how to just look at it and approach it, and not be intimidated by it or try to chase the next wildest thing that I just saw on Instagram today. Like,
Well, what did you see?
well, I've heard you say it. It's like what's the problem, and let's find something to fix it that is AI related, as opposed to like, I've been caught in this trap. It's like, hey, here's the new thing. Let's try this and try that. And then you're just wasting your time, because it just feels like the early days of, the internet. Even like in snowboarding, there's 300 brands, and then it kind of whittles down, and there will be 3 big ones. And, there's the servers, like Google wasn't the first out there, remember AOL and and it's not there anymore, and it changed and shifted. And I think we're still, the race is on for who's going to dominate that space, as far as who is going to be the Google, I guess, for the AI space. But back to your point again, and there's the other point that I think you've said with AI is really inspiring for me, is, again, I'm always scared that the next generations of creative directors aren't going to have the experience and DNA to actually lead a client through, let's call it a risky campaign. Like, dude, we got to take a risk here, because they just aren't going to get the same, again, when you're remote, you're not having the hallway conversation with the senior person as a junior person to learn where they got the confidence, why they came through and said that to the client on the call. Like, all that stuff is just really soft parts of a career trajectory. And so the thing that I've heard you say in the past is like, it frees up that person to get on to the technical stuff and not have to do the, hey, here's your coffee part of, your career trajectory as a young person getting out of school and starting on a path.
Well, AI is making us all so the question is like, what we do now that we're all more capable. Like, we're all more capable than we've ever been before. Like, what I actually was just thinking about this is, if I had access to the tools that I have now 7 years ago, when I was like deep into client work, the things that I could have done. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And like, I think about myself and Steph Lanning. She's now the executive director over at Monospace here in Portland, but she was at Instrument for a decade plus. And at the time, we would just like do pitches until 9 o'clock at night. And I was like in there with like Miro and Whimsical building wireframes, like, and moving things around as a producer. And now I literally can vibe code in Claude, and it can produce it for me in 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And so then if I can get that done in 90 seconds versus 8 hours, then I'm able to then think about okay, that was the bare minimum. The MVP 7 years ago was like a wireframe. And everybody was like, congratulations. And we're like, look at you, producer, making wireframes. And now the expectation is, oh, hey, producer, you need to make wireframes. We expect it from you.
Yeah.
And so AI is making everyone, in my perspective, way more capable than ever before. Like, I don't need a strategist to do a 13-week immersion for them to pull out cultural insights. I can literally go beep, boop, bop, bop, bop. That's computer language. That's computer language. That's what
beep, bop, boop, bop.
That's what vibe coding is you just go beep, boop, bop, boop, bop.
Give me the money.
And then it creates a product. That's how it works. And so now that we can be that more capable, imagine, like, because we're capable, imagine what we're capable of. Like, I'm sure you can stitch that on a pillow somewhere, and it's like, because you're more capable, imagine what you're capable of. Like, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, but you are right. And I think, yes, you gotta, similar to like the relationship that we have, like with everything, you gotta hold things at the same time. And same thing, junior talent. For sure. We absolutely risk them not being able to have the hallway talks. And what does that look like and all those things? Okay, well, that's a problem. That's a problem that is just another problem to solve. Okay, so what are we doing about it? Well, at Instrument, we're about to kick off a thing called, have you ever heard of this little thing called Star Search?
The TV show?
Well, yes, but we're rebranding it. We're taking it on as our junior talent recruiting. And we're going to basically hire 5 to 10 junior staff, force function at Instrument, and bring them in. And for 12 months, they have to sit in the office.
Yes.
They have to sit there.
Yeah.
4 days a week.
I love it.
Together. They're going to start as a cohort. Maybe.
Oh, okay.
And the first 3 months, they're going to work on an initiative that I'll give them. And like to help with like onboarding. Because, a lot of the things is a lot of people are afraid to bring in junior talent because they think like, I don't have time to onboard them. I don't have time to teach them about these things. I don't have time to talk to them about like instrument culture and make them feel included. I'm like, great, we're gonna invest into that. Again, like that's a people first thing. Like I know my teams need it, but they don't know how to get there. So how can I enable that for not only them to hold the space for what they need today, but also what this junior talent needs in the future. And so again, I know it's like incremental in the realm, but like imagine if every agency was like, you know what? We're going to hire at minimum 2, not 1, because there's a power of the pair.
Yep.
Like everybody hired 2 people and said, guess what? You're going to sit in the office. And then what I'm also going to do with my Portland-based leaders, I'm going to make them be my version of Tin Gum. So we're basically like Star Search and Project One Way squishing it together. Because there's no such thing as a new idea. So we just recycle them in how it means to us. And like each week, one of our leaders will come in and look at their work and like crit them and be in the office for those sidebar conversations.
Absolutely.
And they're going to be presenting the work to me as the client to get like the true unfiltered feedback in that space and get those reps in. So to answer your question about AI, it's like we could talk about it for 1,000 hours. It's rapidly changing. We don't know what's going to be evergreen, but we're in that moment of like expansion to contraction. We saw it. You said the AOLs of the word, that was expansion. The contraction was who's going to be the winner. We watched it happen with apps when 3,000 apps got made in 10, 12 years ago. It was the expansion and the contraction. 0.01% of those apps that were deployed in between that period exist.
Wow.
0.01. 0.01. And so now we're in that same thing. So when everybody else is like losing their mind on the AI chaos, you're just like, don't feed into and perpetuate the narrative. It's just an expansion moment. And then literally Google, OpenAI, Claude, Amazon, everybody's just walking around and looking who's doing the cool thing. And they're all just going to buy it and scoop it up.
Yep.
And in another 3 years, we're going to know who it is. 3 years may be advantageous, but I don't know. I think we're still not even there yet. I mean, Claude just said that Claude can make its own Claude in like a year, which is insane.
Crazy. It's crazy. And that's a good thing. And again, we're a brand shop here at Nemo. And again, you guys are doing brand, but it's always a great conversation. It's so philosophical. But I'd love to hear what you think, or what is the instrument brand?
Yeah, I go back into like, there's three things that matter to instrument. It's the people, the work, and the culture. And the people need to feel energized by the work that we do. The work needs to be inspiring, and the culture needs to be one that is people first, growth minded, and truth in action. Those are the things that we hold true to us, you know? And so like, sure, when you walk into a room, you're like, hello, instrument. We're a digital first design agency. You know, that's the pitch to the client. Oh, we marry taste and technology.
I've heard it.
Uh-huh. We're nerds with taste. Like all of those things. Yeah, you know, and it's like those are the things like that we are, because at our heart, it's like Instrument was founded as an engineering company. So it's like the DNA of the brand is always going to be technology. And a lot of the times people say like, sometimes when I look at the portfolio, and I even get this from Stagwell and other agencies, they say like, there's just something different about the design of Instrument. And they say, what is it? What is that special sauce? And I say, well, the design is the output. And the output is only as good as the inputs that go into it. And we approach every ounce of design through the lens of technology. And so that means even our brand designers are using creative technology and tools in different ways that other shops aren't. And thus it produces a different output. And so when anyone says like, what is the DNA of Instrument? And you're like, tech is foundational in everything that we do. So even though we just won Design Studio through Campaign USA, it is sure, but the reason we won is because we're actually a technology shop. And so it is our DNA, it is in everything that we do. And whether it is like the way that our own radius and the way that our, like when we think about our own word mark, like we made the font, like we invented a new font for Google because we wanted to be able to do things in our own branding. And that's not what most places do. And so like you can go to Google and download Instrument Sans and Instrument Serif because we always think about what is the technology to enable a better experience.
What's the definition of brand?
Ooh, should I use the word story? I'm not going to.
Challenge yourself.
Yeah.
You've been here before.
Yeah. I would say the definition of brand. So brand is like the combination of everything that people interact with. And it's the like perception that people have. So ideally I think it's interesting, a study, and I should probably do this for Instrument, is it's literally like, I want to say, what do you think of the Instrument brand?
And what do I think? I think it's a technology company that makes cool digital tools and has really good design chops.
Yeah. And that's the brand.
That's
like
the brand.
The brand is like the perception. And that's like because you take, again, to use my incredible inputs to outputs, is like the brand is the output of all of the inputs that you put out into the world.
And hope it comes back.
Exactly.
The way you want.
Yeah, that are rooted into the initial intent. You know, we all know that's like, what is the intent? And then that is like the catalyst in which we create things. And what we create should be honest to what the catalyst is at the end of it. And ideally, the output of what you receive is the full circle back down to the core and the nucleus.
And you're hoping somebody in a C-suite says, I want some of that.
And they go, oh my God, I've never seen that before.
Bring it.
Well,
Bring
and
it.
did you see, because all the CEOs in my future are women or men with very long feminine hair. So
If only we
Yes.
could have that true. So which brands are you hot on right now? That's going to surprise me. Like, what's this? What brand's kind of out there coming up the ranks that you could kind of share your excitement about? And why?
Oh, like one that I think is doing something like really interesting.
Yeah, you're super stoked on them.
Well, is it okay if it's a client?
Sure.
I'm super stoked on Crocs, man.
Go, girl.
What?
Sell me something.
Crocs? I also feel like, so like in December of last year, I like put my arms up out into the universe and I said, somebody, I just want a footwear brand.
In
And
Portland, I want a
thought-
footwear brand.
And I really thought the collective consciousness would be like, girl, we got you. Here's here's Nike, something in that
Sexy,
space.
yeah.
And then through the most famous email that's ever existed, Crocs sent us an RFP and said, do you want to help us with our brand and marketing?
Blip, 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 blip.
Uh-huh. And I was like, Crocs?
Bring it.
And so what I think is really interesting is like they're here in Broomfield, Colorado, right outside of Denver,
Love it.
and they have such a wild business model that is able to track culture in real time. It's fascinating. And also the fact that Crocs now makes it into like gorillas videos, and that like people like adjacent to the red carpet at the Met Gala are like, oh my God, where's my Crocs?
Right.
That's fascinating. It's a $30, $20 shoe. But what they've done is they've brought in the concept of gibbets, which
Yes.
also is just because there was like a mom who would stick flowers in her daughter's shoes, and that everybody was like, that's so cool. She started making this out of her garage. And then one day the founder of Crocs was walking his dog and saw her in the garage.
Shut up.
And then he bought her business for $10 million. Yeah. I'm pretty sure she's probably like, yay, at 10 million. And now she's going, oh.
I could have waited it out.
Man.
Good for her.
So it's fat. And also what I love about it is their patent ran out. And so there is a huge amount of challenge in their market space.
Right.
That used to just be theirs. And also the fact that someone has made subjectively a relatively ugly shoe that we're all like, everywhere I go, everyone is
Yeah.
wearing them. Pete Davidson is one of like their big like collaborators, and you're just like, oh,
That guy.
like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and you're like, I'm sure if you looked hard enough, there's like a Kardashian wearing a Croc, and you're like, so that's why what I think is like so interesting. And so I am thankful to like the collective universe that was like a shoe wear brand. And I would like, nowhere in my brain did I think Crocs was what was going to come in. I was like, I want to help reinvigorate Nike because I love them so much and they're in the backyard and my God, I want to help them.
Portland needs it.
And they were like, actually, you should look at this thing over here. The surprise and delight of like some reason people love these things.
They do.
And now I also wear Crocs.
The admission. We got a confession over here.
I do. I wear them. And like now I get excited. The other day I was in Soho in New York
Crocking it.
and like was super excited to go into like the Crocs store and was like picking out my gibbets.
Bingo.
And I'm hopeful like, and then when I go to Cannes this year, I'm going to wear Crocs
Look at you.
with custom gibbets that say instrument on them.
Whoa, you guys are committed.
Yeah.
It's funny. My story is like Post Malone is, I think, the launch of Crocs. He was wearing them and he had the giblets on there. And,
That's what I'm saying.
And then, while he's doing it, it must be cool.
Uh-huh.
And then the influencer kind of helped grow that market. But I had buddies that are, hunters are on their, the quads. They got their shotgun and they get off and they got their Crocs on.
That's
they got
what I'm
camo
saying.
Crocs.
Like what brand is able to literally tap into culture
all
for
of them.
everyone?
Yeah.
From nurses to hunters to Post Malone to the gorillas. I mean, it is in music, culture,
It is.
everywhere.
They're so comfy.
And it's also such a democratized price point.
Keep going.
Like you don't have to spend $100
Exactly.
to be part of it. But then also you can spend $100 on a pair of Crocs. I mean, they also have
Yeah.
one of our incredible partners at Instrument on another brand. Literally, we were talking through it and I was like, oh, we're really excited about this Crocs work that we won. And then he sent me all of these photos of him and his special edition Crocs. And keep in mind, he's like someone who I never would have thought
Right.
was a Crocs person. And he has like... spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on limited edition Crocs.
That's so funny. Well, again, there's that street thing that we got in Portland where it's like, hello, boom, right to the shoes. right?
Totally.
I don't know
Oh.
if it happens in other cities, but
absolutely.
it's so prevalent here. And so,
What do you got going on down there? Is
right,
that
like,
what is?
okay, yeah, hey, CEO lady, what are you wearing?
Yeah.
All right.
I got some Tacovas on.
today.
Yeah.
Should have wore your Crocs.
I know.
Put a nice ribbon
I
on
know.
this.
It would have been like these ones.
Bingo.
Well, they are the EXP version of Crocs, and they are a beautiful cream houndstooth platform.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Gotta get a pair.
You gotta get a pair.
It's here. Where can people find you?
Where can people find me?
Sure. That want to bother you, get a job.
Well, they can find me at Instrument.
I've heard of that place. I hear there's this spot on there that you can send in an RFP request.
Yeah, hello@instrument.com. Most famous email of all time. And no, but people can find me on the internet. Is that a
Yep.
thing that still
Yeah,
exists?
you got an Instagram
Yeah.
feed. I saw you up there.
Oh, yeah, but that would require me to engage with it.
That's true. Got to keep it private, but I know all your dogs are up there.
Oh, yeah, my
They're
dogs
very,
are up
very
there.
Cute.
If anyone's looking for incredible dog content, I do have two very cute dogs, Jolene and Johnny.
Yep.
And yes, you can
So you
find
could be
me on
an
the
influencer
Instagram.
and a dog thing. Forget this whole instrument thing and just be a dog influencer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would be incredible.
You'd make so much money.
Yeah, I would do that. You know, I hear that people like looking at dogs online. I
heard.
think that's a thing that might catch on.
Right?
Yeah,
I wonder if Vince is looking at dogs. Hey, Vin, are you looking at dogs today?
he did. He's got a new dog.
Shut up.
Yeah, like a real weird, like Chihuahua looking thing.
Not a Chihuahua
Yeah.
in Vin's house?
Yeah, it's very strange. He continues to surprise and delight us in all the things he does.
Well, that guy. We love him.
Yeah.
All right. And then what else? Anything else, Nick? I think that's where we're at. Thank
Okay.
you for coming in and playing with us today.
Hey,
in the
anytime.
sandbox.